welcome. Happy Sunday. Thank you once again for joining us in Soulful Sunday discussion. We have been discussing the violence, and we have come to the end of our discussion today. Our final discussion as we discuss gender today. We got some of that in on last strong.
Before that, what did we do last?
Um,
What was called?
that was called the XX. We're closing out. So that's where we are. Really, go back and check out the previous airings of this, and always feel free to write into the chat. Your polarity will speak for. And so week one, we did intellect. The second week, we did the principles of correspondence. The third week, we did the principle of vibration. The fourth week, the principle of polarity. The fifth week was the principle of rhythm. Last week, we did the principle of pause/strong. We did the principle of cause and effect. And we're closing out this strong with the principle of gender. So before we get into any discussion, I'm just going to drum a little bit. Master step.
All right. And for usual, the portal is open. We center ourselves into ourselves, into all there is to be in this present moment. As we give thanks for this present moment, we give thanks to all forms of our higher self, source energy, ultimate through there is angels, archangels, deities, benevolent ancestors, and spirit guides. Take this time to give acknowledgement to our ancestors and support. So, the next version of office claim for us. It's about the water, representing the spirit, into the earth, representing the material. Bring the spiritual to the material. Fortifying this union between our ancestors, the guidance, wisdom, to call out those names. Jay. Welcome.
Melinda Potler,
Ache,
Rose Porter,
Ache,
Ashley Porter,
Ache,
Laura Porter,
Ache,
Lord Porter,
Ache,
Ruth Dawson,
Ache,
Mary Elizabeth,
Ache,
Mary Lou,
Ache, Laura Hall,
Ashe,
Mal Tucker, Bertha Tucker,
Ashe,
Mira Wallace,
Ashe,
Prophet Noble Drew Ali,
Ashe,
Malcolm X,
Ashe,
Marcus Garvey,
Ashe,
Harriet Tubman,
Ashe,
Sojourner Truth,
Ashe,
Matt Turner,
Ashe,
and all those that helped us along the way. We say Ache, 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 oh.
Ashe-o.
And we seal it with 3 invocations. Simply taking a deep breath in through the nose, relaxing, releasing out the mouth. Take a deep breath in through the nose, slowly and gently releasing out the mouth. One more breath deeply and slowly into the nose. And relaxing gently out. Relaxing out. Welcome to this.
Right. Comments to the 3 initiatives and the role of the law of gender. And this is a topic, Master Chef, that you share from often. And so I thought it appropriate to utilize your passion. It's the opening and getting us started with the discussion today.
Oh, that's something. Where to begin? Where to begin? Begin by sharing our own story of this topic of gender. In this journey to really understanding more about gender, the masculine, and the divine masculine, divine feminine, as well as the toxic masculine. This journey picks up. Well, of course, it began when the incarnation first came. And as most of us that grew up in North America experienced sort of traumas, dysfunctional family, some kind of post-traumatic slave syndrome, it's there. It's there. And so for my person, when it comes to gender, it realized a couple of years ago, about 2 years ago, that because of its experiences on twofold, those self-imposed on the self and from the outside, implying this self-imposed stifling, if you will, restricting the divine feminine from the masculine perspective. Some people say becoming a male chauvinist or things like that, even though my person didn't feel it at the time. However, as it shares his story and looks back, and you can see how we're within that category as a toxic masculine or toxic male chauvinist, like that. Because growing up, siblings were 5 years apart, and the youngest sister's 5 years younger. So growing up, my person was 6, 7 years old. She's 1, 2, 3. At some point, we was playing jacks, playing dolls. Braiding the hair. Little sister. Just we hanging out. But then at some point, because of the age difference, by the time junior high school, so high school, started, get off into girls and stuff that she's not. She's gonna go tell mom about. Mommy, he watching this on TV. Mommy, he doing this, he doing that. He's sneaking out. Sneak out and stuff. So she was in the way. So, not realizing what type of effect it would have, coupled with at some point, while in high school, mom began to choose a way to enjoy herself, say crack, on drugs.
How are y'all today?
Well,
Oh, that's my friend here.
We have people joining us in the house, so we're taking time out to come up with them. We're online, we're live in the discussion.
yeah, so just share my personal story on its role to understanding the masculine and feminine genders. Just sharing how, because we're 5 years apart, younger sister at some point, we played together, bringing the doll said, then she started getting away. We started getting other things, you know, saying like this. In high school, and then in high school, mom chose to partake in, drugs, crack. So that does something to the divine. They're like, Mama, how could you? How could you? Then the sister's all in the way. So, and coupled, that's from the inside. Inside was shutting down the divine, in a certain way. And then from the outside, pops on around. And so, yeah, it's an alpha male, gangster street shows in the streets, in jail a lot, this and the other. So when he talked, son is in cancer. So the feminine is here. So, but he talked, it was like, it was like wanting to cry, but couldn't cry. Don't cry, man, don't cry, rah, rah, rah. So it had to suppress the feminine from the outside, and yeah. And then since he went around, they would say, how many girlfriends you got? Oh, you got a girlfriend yet? Just like before they were like girl. It's like, then we stopped lying. We got one. Just don't have to, feel that pressure. Then, oh, that's all you got is one. So it became of how many girls. So this is how my person was introduced to the feminine energy. It was doing too much. It's in the way, and how can we find pleasure in many of them? Whatever, it's challenging us to put into words, but we already know what it is. So this is my person telling the story of how it was indoctrinated into the vibration of the toxic masculine, the toxic male. And then at some point, raised in the church, so at some point in 20s, came to DC, right? This is a tough time. So came to DC in my first 20s. And then some folks like, well, we right by God, we'll get into the church, become a good man of God. So at this point, after that, it was like, we're not going to cheat, monogamous, one man, one woman, the whole nine. We thought we was doing good for a good 20, 25 years after that, because that's all we had. We're not going to cheat. My person didn't realize that it was projected masculine characteristics, about logic, reason, recall, just navigating, driving, all kind of little stuff. Like, why can't you? The same thing my person had with his mom. Like, why are you smoking and you're pregnant? So, why you can't recall this, you can't remember this, why can't you? So it was that pressure, even though it was like if I was being good, but they didn't realize it was putting that pressure. Until it began a couple years ago, start getting more into the plant medicines. it was put on my person that because of those experiences, and even though my person said it's going to be monogamous, treated right, support, was a whole lot, it still did not understand the essence of the body. And so it's a couple years ago to really just understand the body and how she flows, how she flows, how she flows. And as a result of looking at the divine feminine, it began to see the divine masculine osmosis. And so a couple years ago, it really began to put in perspective the role of the divine and the divine masculine. Because on paper, we talk about, esoterically, divine feminine is creative, likes to flow, emotional. On the other side, the man is more intellectual, rigid, intellectual, things like this. And so, how does that look like for self? Then so it says, okay, because we are masculine and feminine. So begin to see self as how its divine masculine began to stifle divine feminine by putting deadlines, being hard on self, why we keep doing, why we doing, we got better than this. And driving it, it's daytime, you gotta be doing something, you know. And then she began to speak out, as far as, well, through the intellectual understanding of the emotions, the energy and motion, and how the energy and motion, in essence, is the ultimate is creation. We say energy and motion. Emotions is energy and motion. And what's the ultimate energy and motion? It is not creation. Because creation is energy and motion. That's what it's doing. It's a universe expanding, the seasons, everything is moving. So everything is energy and motion. Then so energy and motion. Then so, well, what is source? So those source is the divine master, generally speaking. Because you can say creation is natural consequence. But for my personal own story, its own modality, and choosing the side, because my says life is yes, no, by choosing the side that resonates, empowers it. This is the side or perspective that my person chooses to see about the divine master. Because they realize that source and creation is happening at the same time. So it says source supports creation. It supports, it holds space. Source energy holds space for creation to create an infinite number of things. Why? Because within source, it's an infinite number of things. This flow, the creation. So, okay, cool. So the self, how to allow self to that space. So what began to happen is when the person began to take naps, reflect more, be gentle, and trust her. So much so that source energy also, it holds the space and it gives guidelines. Those guidelines that we're speaking about now, the hermetic principles. So these are the laws that govern how energy moves. It correspondence, being resolved. And so for the last couple of years, at least a year and a half, my person has said, we're going to hold space, let her flow. And given her, we know these laws are the hermetic principles. And we just have these goals in mind. 3, 4 goals. Some in terms like relocate to Jamaica. And so it's how it works in real time is my person just reminds herself of these goals. Allow her the freedom of expression to get these goals, which implies that to be so not strict with it, that my person is open to the organic flow of what's happening and trust that what she's doing is she has it like God. They say, you have your goal. They say, God, no, this, that. But they say, don't be too caught on how it comes.
Yeah.
Well, this is the divine feminine, because again, it flows such a way that it's not structured and like the masculine. The beat, that's it. Sometimes it goes over here, it goes over there. The process of flowing because it knows the path of least resistance. Because we got that straight tunnel vision. There's a chance if something's in your way, you want to, I got the muscle bound, I got to get through it, knock it down. Then we sit down, take a break. Okay, now we go a little bit more. But the Bible says, oh, this is what here, oh, but let's just go. There's more than one way to do things. There's a flow to it, there's options. So my person began to just flow differently because it's open to all the options that's available. Because the divine master said, let's just step back, breathe, become relaxed into the divine feminine. And listen, because it's also intuition, because it's so subtle. Just listen to what she said. Says, okay. And then the agreement is, okay, let's do it. But actually, January 14th of this year, because of this type of like daily looking and seeing how self and on the outside, it felt the vibration of the marriage on January 14th of this year. That my person says it's divine masculine, it's his heart, also the mental body, it's divine feminine, it's the mind, also the emotional body. So it says, let's get these two bodies to work together as one. So therefore, the heart, the mental body, but we intend, I will. We just hold the space with intention. And there's less, we got to be done this way. It's got to be done. What time is it? We got to start this. We got to do. And so the mind is free to serve the heart. Somebody said the lower self serving the higher self. I and my Father is one. So this is how from creation to source energy, my person's own heart and mind, supporting over space, allow for that creation, as well as then taking it to the outside. We all know it's starting from the inside to the outside. But then it comes to having more intellectual understanding how a lot of times the divine feminine is doing God's work. This is the latest upload. Allows the divine masculine to relax when the divine feminine is maybe not present here. Paying attention to focus. Like, oh, you're doing God's work. But you're up in the spirit world. Get some upload. Shit like that. And, connecting and shit like that. Now, this is the talk that my person has with itself to allow the divine feminine that freedom. And say, okay, while you off doing something, if something needs to be done, don't wait for it to come back. Okay, we'll do it. So when you come back, things should ready to go, and you can do okay, be good. But again, this has been a journey of getting to this place of really understanding the divine feminine, how she flows energetically, and again, I'm saying the connectivity to spirit, the uploads, the psychic thing. But my person sees that the feminine is the spirit world, and the masculine is the material world. So it stands the reason why driving, parallel parking, and directions and shit like that, because this is our dimension. It's linear, it's slow. The streets are blocks. They're not circles. Although in DC you have these circles here and there, which is beautiful because the more Benjamin Banneker understood the masculine and feminine principles. So the way it's laid out is very strategic because but that's not every city made like that. Most of them city blocks, square blocks, buildings blocks, houses blocks. Everything is blocked. That's the master principle. Block. It allows little with the flow, and not just what we see is blocked, but also like the educational system. They say mainly teaches you how to think, how to be in the box. How to regurgitate information. Where's the creativity? Taking music and physical education, certain things that allow you the creativity to take those things out, because as my person began to understand its journey, it realized that it was subject to the society that it incarnated in, implying that most people realize that society, for the most part, has taken the divine feminine out of creation, out of history, out of the importance of mainly the religion. So, and even on the job, CEOs, there's this whole pay thing. And to be a good CEO, good boss, there's something about being cutthroat. You got to be no emotion. You got to be all this, alpha male, toxic masculinity. Not to say that it is wrong per se, but just how it is manifested to such an extreme without that balance makes it not necessarily beneficial for humanity's growth.
When you say that, I just think about again my own journey. Working in theater. And theater, if you in the top rank, you usually white and Jewish. That's just dealing with that face was. And so in order for me to survive, I had to tap into all of that masculine entity that, a chef would talk about forever and a day. It's like when you come off like this, you come off like this, and now I would be hurt because I'm like, you're so rough, but that's how you come. I'm giving it back. And I was like, no, that's not how I am. And he kept trying to point out, different occasions where you giving it like that. And then when I do it, then you want to break down. Then you want to cry. And I'm like, because I'm a woman, and I have these feelings and I have these hurts. But as in the past few months, I've really looked at this whole masculine and feminine energy thing that people talk about, that I come at him with and go, well, how did I survive? Because I started in the industry at 14 years old and was providing for myself and taking great care of myself. But what I had to do is play the game. It's like there was sometimes when I walked in the room and I had attitude. I'm not particularly mad at anything, but I know if I came with that type of energy, They were just going to work, right? It wasn't going to be any wavering. It was all shots, and of course, the first thing they were like, oh, she must be on a rag, the men. But I really just needed to make sure I got so much work done by a certain amount of time before whoever produces or whoever showed up. And so if I'm running the game, then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to have everybody jumping and moving and getting far ahead of the but not overstanding, but they'll take me out of the theater world, take me out of the business world, and in my personal life. And that's kind of how I show up. Like, okay, I just want something done. All I want to hear is a chef is real good at having a lot of explanations sometimes. I don't want to hear explanation. I just want you to go do it. I don't want you to talk about it. I don't want you to explain to me what you're doing. I just want you to make it happen. And then sometimes, oh, it's all about you. Let me just do this, But on one hand, I would feel some kind of way that he felt some kind of way about doing it. But at the same time, I'd be like, that's exactly right. Right, go do it. So it's like you torn, but that's that flowing through those energies. That masculine is like, make it happen. That feminine is like, but like it when you do it. Still like it when you do it. Don't be mad because you got to do it. Learning enough about stuff to be in that place where, okay, sometimes that masculine has to show, And at the same time, not everyone to have needed the masculine. Feeling like somebody should have been protecting me. Somebody should have been taking care of me. Somebody should have had my back. I should not have had to do it on my own. But to prove to everybody I could do it on my own, I did it on my own, and I did it well. Because it was that whole piece of, that's all right. That's all right. Y'all thought I wasn't going to make it. Y'all thought I was going to fail. Y'all thought my story was going to look like this, but I'm creating this. So fast forward to today, that same tenacity needs to be present to create and move what I want today. But what happens when we allow ourselves to be so back and get over back to the mentalism of, oh, they're not going to like me, or I'm not going to be received well, oh man, I'm going to be deflated their ego. So still trying to find that balance of how do I make you feel good? How do I stroke your ego enough to make you happy in doing whatever you're doing? When on the real heart is saying, I don't want to go through all of that. I just want you to do it. You know what needs to be done. And knowing for me, I probably do the mission. I get a lot of visions. I get a lot of things going on.
Doing God's work.
Which is where this whole conversation of doing God's work has become more noticeable in the past couple of weeks from him, because he'll be talking and I'm gone. Yeah. I'm gone. And then when I realized he's been talking for a minute, what you say? His response lately has been, oh, you were doing God's work, but I wouldn't want to do it. At the same time, that's become free for me. Because now it's not any negative energy and whatever it is here that I try to accomplish. It's because he has given me the space to go and come back. And then when I come back, and just a reminder, you're supposed to do X, Y, and Z. And I appreciate that energy so much more than just fighting the back and forth, because it was like we have wasted a lot of time in those spaces going back and forth. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, it's going to be one way or the other anyway. Yeah. And if we are both taking a stand and neither one of us is going to give, we may individually satisfy ourselves, but is it a greater good? Is there coherency, between whatever it is we need to do? And when we're showing up to do this work, like come here and, head discussions with Soulful Sundays, what type of energy do you all experience if we be? And it's like one thing, especially before we can sense, oh, that was some tension. Oh, we could sense that a lot more in our emotional space, than some men. Now them cancers though, they kind of really emotional. I have a Cancer sun, and every guy that I've dated has been a Cancer.
Wow.
And I sat back and went through the thing like a couple weeks ago. I was like, every guy that I have dated has been a Cancer.
Wow.
And we have had some major fights between me and these guys and overstanding the energy of that, so they get to flowing in their emotions and then I'm flowing in my emotions and then I'm flowing in my emotions and then comes back with that masculine energy with it. That one would make you want to castrate, verbally castrate a man. That masculine energy that would show up in that space. And it's like, oh, I'm gonna say whatever I know hurts.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be true, which is gonna make it hurt even more because I know it. And it's the truth. And it might have been something that you just wish I'd have handled differently.
Yeah.
And then I had the audacity to go back to the female, that emotional side of, but why would you like me?
So now you got to get that reassurance back.
But why don't you like me? It's like, I wouldn't have done that, that typical, you made me do. No, we make choices. We make choices. And, and in those moments of our own hurt, that hurt to survive isn't even surviving because once you hurt that person, at least for me anyway, if I hurt you, now I'm hurt, then I hurt you.
That's right.
When it's all over. It's like, I might be crying because of what I said or did to you when I was hurt. It's like, it's really, really interesting. It's like, I think I am the only, I'm not going to say I'm the only person, but I recall as a child when I would be outside and I would fight. And especially if it was a boy that I really liked. And if I beat him up, I'm in the room crying because I'm like, okay, I beat him up because whatever he did to defend me, I had to defend myself. But now he ain't never gonna like me. I didn't beat him up. I beat him up. Now he's never going to like me. And that flow, overstanding, where that masculine comes in, where that feminine comes in, where the balance needs to be with that. Because clearly, especially if you were a single mom in the household, you need to tap into that masculine because you got stuff to do because you're the single mom. You got to pay the bills, you got to feed this child, you got to clothe this child, you got to keep the roof over this child's head. So when you're in this world, you showing up the way you need to show up. It's like when a lot of times when they say it comes that angry black woman, it's no, here comes that determined, here comes that tired, here comes that I am being pressed by all sides, but then I don't get to go home and fold because when I go home, I'm still responsible. Here comes that one, and she is getting things done. She's getting things done like we spoke earlier. She's getting things done when she got to show up and do all of this work and know that her paycheck isn't going to match the paycheck of somebody doing half the work that she's doing. And they know that she's going to continue to be in that space because she is relying on this check to take care of all of the things that she's got to do. But now she ain't. No, she's just driven. She's driven, and then pride may look to someone like anger, and if you press, you will get to that side of anger, which you will learn quickly in some cases, oh, that wasn't anger that I saw before. That was that drive. But because I pushed this button, now I got the anger, That might be the space for one actually get fired when that anger really show up. That might be when the job be like, okay, well, you can go home. Right. And depending upon where you are, they might not have to tell you to go home. That might be the space where you decide, you know what? That's it. I am done. I am done, In this process, it has taught me to, when I would show up for jobs, to not look at it as me being a person, under the flashlight or under the magnifying glass to see whether or not I was a good fit. It started becoming when I show up, what do I like about this place? Is this someplace I'm gonna get up and come to every day? Am I gonna be happy? Okay, the check might be whatever the check is, and if the check's good, is that enough for me to be here? It's like once I took on that persona, it shifted and changed what it looked like for me showing up for interviews, And I'm now I'm not in the space. I hope they call me, I would leave a place and no, I got this job, or no, or they're gonna offer me this job, but I'm not. That became the shift in the energy. Now, a whole nother space is learning to move in accordance to spirit, because I've gone and got a job because I can go and get a job and then be on the job and so much discord happening in the space of the job and just realizing that in this time, in this space, it's really more so about me being building and moving and having that relationship with spirit. Chef was sharing when I took the job, it was like, you had bills, everything was being paid. This is true. Everything was being paid. Everything was taken care of. And I did not have a job. I did not do anything to bring in income. And money literally fall out the sky. I was sitting in the car crying one day and didn't have the money to pay my car note. And my rent was $3,000 a month. And what was pressing me was the car note. And knowing that the company had just left, trying to, looking for the car to tow. My daughter called and was like, "I said, man, I'm back. You might not want to come home yet, so then I can't, drive the car." And I sat in the car and I cried. And $700 bills just fell into the window and landed on the seat next to me. I'm behind the driver's seat sitting in the car. So I picked up $700 bills up and I stopped crying. I go to the bank, I deposit it, and I take care of the bills that I need to take care of. Another time, somebody knocked on the door, wanted me to hug a baby blanket and pray over the blanket. And I hugged the baby blanket and I prayed over the blanket and I sent it back. And then the guy came back with 7 women. And each woman came in and asked me simply to hug. And I hugged her and she was taken back healing to whatever community came from. But each woman got $1,000. It was like they just pressed in my hand after the hug. They pressed $1,000. They pressed $1,000. Pressed $1,000. Wow. So all of the money that I needed for the couple of months that I was behind in rent was right there, And then people just slipping money under the door, or somebody just cash after me and random. And so I was really, grateful, but at the same time feeling like I don't know how long this is gonna last. I gotta go get me a job. So the chef talk all that about, when you move the ego, I see you moving, spirit, but I don't trust that you're gonna keep doing it. So I gotta make it happen. Fast forward to today, spirit is stripping of everything, all of the material, all of the stuff that I really enjoy. And now getting to a place where I'm content. Yeah. I have a roof over my head. I have food to eat. I have clothes on my back. And I might not be living the lavishness that I was living before, but I'm living much better because I've exchanged the material for the spiritual, And as I sit with that, and I understand the masculine and feminine energies of that, the feminine is real good at making do in any situation. But the masculine has got to find the what, what is that call on my life that's required to release and let go. And last strong, what came to me was you got to be able to go wherever you're called. So if I need to be in Jerusalem today, and Peru next week, and New York another time, and then back in Africa somewhere else, I need to be that free that I can just get up and go and be wherever I need to be and not be worried about stuff, and not be worried about my material things, And even what spirit is working through right now, not even being worried about relationships. And know that it will be okay, my relationships will be fine, and that I could go and do what I need to do. And then when I have my homecoming, connect with those spaces and those relationships. And it's taken a while to really get to this place where now this is what I'm opening to. And as I begin to open to the space to now see all of the gifts start to become more in control. It was like I was having things and I'm running, just levitating in the house. Not anything that I was necessarily controlling, but it was happening. And so now to even begin to look at why would things levitate? What is the point in it levitating? What was it for my intention to just understand that I could release, weight. Weight could be physical weight could be mental weight. Weight could be distress. And so when things are levitating, that means something has lost weight. And that could be a very good thing. So if I go in and I'm working with or dealing with women, who have gone through a whole bunch of trauma, that weight that we carry, if you just think about what I was taught in, my biology class, every time you get into with a man, when his seed goes in you, that now becomes a part of your DNA. Can you imagine how much weight that could be for some women that have had a lot of male partners? That's a lot of stuff to go through just in your everyday because you've taken on all these people and now you need to be released. It's like no wonder emotions are so out of balance because those emotions are you a man trying to manage everybody that you never come in contact with. That's now a part of you, let alone your own stuff. But if I'm young and somebody left me and that weight is released, then they get that stop. But to even allow myself to get a place to overstay it, this is the metamorphosis of pressure today. This is what this becomes valuable for when these phenomenal things happen outward. What is the reason for? Because it's not a dog of ownership. It's not, oh, look, I can do this. Oh, I can make this spin in the air. What is the purpose? If I understand the purpose and I understand the call of what it is that I'm doing and why I'm doing what I'm doing, then it's not about trying to make it happen. Just allow it to happen. When I was sharing that I was hugging friends who had kidney issues and their kidneys wasn't being accepted by the body and stuff, and all of a sudden their stuff was feeling it in my back is starting to hurt. And I'm having swellings in my legs to illustrate that there's something going on with my kidneys, but I don't have kidney problems because I had not put myself in a space where, and how do I release? How do I not just take it and hold it, but allow it to pass through, so that they get their healing and I'm still whole when it's said and done. But it becomes the distance, it becomes the movement, it becomes the overstanding. The masculine part is that that's where I got to step into. That now how I get up and do my daily rituals to keep me going and do what I need to do. With a feminine be like, I just want to sit in my bed. And then I'm going to cry about what's wrong with the body. And that masculine is like, no, you need to do that. Call Izzy up. Get back in the workout plan. Go show up on the gym. It's like, and Izzy stay popping up on my screen whenever I pull up the phone. It's Izzy in class kicking something. Izzy was teaching me kickboxing. Which, I was real diligent for when I needed to because it was my work situation and I felt like I just need to be able to protect myself when I get to work. So I'm going to be serious. But then think about the full health benefits of it. It's like, because my goal was, I just don't want to be a punk when I walk up in these prisons or in these schools to work. And, they come to me, I got to be able to handle it. But that was a good motivation, but it wasn't sustainable. Because then when I left prison and I wasn't going into those systems, I'm not doing the word. And so I didn't integrate it. I just used, you know what I'm saying? I tapped into it for a minute. Every time over here, let me get a couple of kicks in. All right, I'm good, I feel good, you know. And not even understanding that what was really working for me wasn't the physical stuff, it was that spiritual stuff. It was because I did have the heart coming in and do what I need to do. And what would happen would be they would relate to that loving part. They wasn't scared or caring about their physical part. I was dealing with people that come into school and shoot one another and stab one another. They didn't have that fear for death. You know, in fact, they welcomed that challenge. Let's see who that, you know. What they respected was the food that I prepared. And they would come in my office to eat. And they would come in my office and lay on the couch, you know. And then at some point, I could say, I need you to get this much work done for me, you know, so that when you come here, you've had something valuable for your peace. But I can also write off on my paper what they accomplished these times while they were sitting in the office. But it was like, it was the love, it was the spirit, it was that trueness, you know. I did the ego thing, you know. I had a big old heavyweight bag in my room, and when fresh releases came out of prison, came into my office, I kicked the bag, and the bag went through the wall one day. And everybody saw it. It was like, no, you know. But at the same time, when they got ready to go to war, they didn't come to me with anything less than their devices. So if they got weapons and stuff, so that's what they coming at me with. When they get ready to war, they come at that because I showed my ego on the front, which let them know you probably can't physically on your own take me out. So now that made them feel the need to come at me with that. You know, so because my energy, because that flow went to that space that wasn't positive, the response that I got back wasn't positive. But when I leaned into the love, when I leaned into that higher energy, they responded more to that and was shut down from anybody else that would come ready to fight. Oh no, you ain't messing with mom. Leave mom alone. You know, mom did, and I didn't know what that meant, you know. And later, some kids was like, oh, they calling you my dukes and up in the prisons and in this space, that's the highest respect that they are giving you. So when somebody's like, don't be messing with my dukes, don't be messing with my dukes. My dukes it is. Yeah. My dukes it is. But to be able to integrate that into the knowing man, you know, what is it that we're trying to achieve? What is it that we are achieving? And when I said trying, it was because sometimes we don't get to what we want because we're so busy in our own way. We're so busy trying to do it our way, opposed to allowing the instructions from the spirit. It was like, so it made sense to me. And I've been working since I was 14 years old. It made sense to me to get up and go to work because that's the program. That's what I understood. You know, never mind money falling out the sky. Never mind people knocking at the door, you know, putting money in my hand. This is great. And it was like, when I think about it, the audacity of me to be like, this is great. But what am I going to do when this stops? Well, the only reason it stopped is because I am now deciding it's going to stop. It's because I am weighing so heavy into my programming that I have to go to work, that I'm going to work. And then I get to work and a lot of crazy things are happening at work. You know, at one point, co-worker was like, it's a witch. I'm trying to tell you, she's a witch. You know, strange things were happening. And when the last day I showed up for work, I went in and that whole drive, it was like a whole bunch of things happened just in the drive to work. When I got to the building, I was like, I can't stay. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm just gonna pack all my stuff up and go. I thought when I showed up that I was gonna say to them, I'm just gonna take a couple of days off. And because I was still trying to reason within myself that I needed to be there. But I got there and was just packing everything up and putting everything in the car. And, my bosses were also personal friends. And so they're like, okay, do what you need to do. But to fully now be in the space of cognitive experience, to fully now be in the space of looking at if there was any phenomenal activity, what is the purpose? How do I use that going forward? Because part of being able to do it on demand is to understand the purpose. Part of being able to do it on demand is to not flow from ego when I do it. So now I don't want to do it as a dog and pony show. Just to try to show people, oh, I'm capable of this. These are the gifts, these are things I can do. Spirit has been saying there will be a time, there'll be a place, there'll be a space. And the appropriateness of it comes from the discipline. The appropriateness of when to do whatever I do comes from the discipline itself. It was like when I hugged my friends with kidney issue, I didn't have the intent on hugging them to feel good. I really just hugged them out of love. This is the same way I picked you up. I was letting them out the car before they would go into their homes. I was up. Later I get calls about what happened. In fact, one friend was like, yeah, every time I go to the doctor, I'm gonna need you to come and get me and take me, and make sure you hug me before I get out of the car. We laughed and joked, but the truth has been consistent that each time I take him and I hug him, he has a wonderful outcome, and his body has been doing well. So that wasn't because Russia set the intent. That was just how spirit was able to flow, because in that hug, in that moment, it was a genuine, I love you. It was a genuine, I want you to feel that, And so that intent, I was like, okay, do that, feel good. That intent was spoken and activated with the hug. And so to the degree that I'm getting uploads, I'm talking to you all now, to the degree that I'm understanding that that's what it looks like to do it on the man. It's not a forced thing. It's not I gotta sit and chant and do all of that. It's just to be open and honest. And love really is the answer to everything. Love really is the answer to everything. I say a lot. Any thoughts, anything anybody want to share with, just in you understanding gender and where you are?
I can totally relate to like 99.999% of what you're saying. Even in the space right now, I've also associated the feminine and masculine as feminine being the victim and the masculine being the villain. And now I'm trying to step out of being the victim because it's so easy to succumb to just, like you said, oh, I've had this trauma, I've had this happen, oh, this is what I'm doing. But now I'm doing the shadow work, like, okay, now I need to become more of the villain. And what does that villain look like? Like, I don't want people to say, well, overstood, like you said. It doesn't matter what people think or feel when they see the villain, because the villain is just me showing up as the masculine saying, okay, I'm no longer going to take myself and be the victim just because I know you did me wrong, or just because I know that, like you said, with work, I'm in the wrong space. I'm not going to play the victim and be like, oh, sister so-and-so, Susie, like, she doesn't like me because I'm the only Black person. No, I am the Black person. I am the, like, if you think and I've been called a witch too. If you think I'm the witch, it's okay. But while I'm here in this space, I'm going to create a sense of boundary, but I'm also going to be still respectful, but you're also going to respect me. Right. So
I like that you use the word villain, opposite victim. You know what I'm saying? Because we always try to find this perfectly good, holistic word to describe that other side. And that is something that Spirit was working with me just last night. That you don't want to address a dark side. You don't want to believe that there's a dark side. But for there to be balance, there's got to be that dark and it has to be that light. And so I just want to be,
Yeah, that's
and I
me.
think, and I want you to see me and carry it.
Yeah.
And then, but my dark side is like the when stuff gets, you know, when
I got it.
you up there doing it, whatever, you know, just being transparent. There was a point when I was a little girl. There were 8 men that tried to break me, and I'm like 8 years old, you know, and they're in a band, and I was able to take out 8 men in that space to be free. You know what I'm saying? But there was a dark space that I went into, you know, and because these genitals was all before me, those became the thing that I used against them to free myself. Because once their genitals were hurt, they wasn't chasing me, they wasn't coming after me, there wasn't anything they could do but be folded, which allowed me space to get away. But that space that I went to address that was very dark, and it was like just the that's what I was sitting with the spirit. That's like you don't want to be this dark side because you've been so busy looking to be accepted in life and not be made demonic. And
so what's come to me in that, and so what came to me in that is like you have to remember that things grow in darkness.
Yeah.
So therefore, that's why it's important for us to be in the darkness. We're rooted, we're grounded, we're underground. Mm-hmm. So now you shifted and getting ready to grow a whole another bush, another tree, another flower that's going to illuminate and evolve into something totally unbreakable. Like, you know, a limb, you know, may fall off, but then another limb comes and grows. You know what I mean? So, like, you have 2 trees side by side, even these 2 trees right here. Neither one of them are stronger than the other. They all like are, and they're probably even thriving off of each other in the dirt, in the darkness. Right. So through that dark, like, you know, so with you even, I mean, I wrestle with it because, you know, being that empath and being a healer, you know, I'm like, I don't want to be, you know, like you don't want to put those labels on yourself, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you know whose you are. Mm-hmm. So now you have to embrace that no matter what people think or feel. And that's kind of where I'm at. Right. Right in that spot. That's like everything that you said, I have, you know, like all the way down to with my car situation. Yeah. Like I even was driving and I was looking at different cars on the street and see, I like you said, I know what it's like to have, but then all of that was taken from you. Exactly. And so now I'm even apprehensive, like I'm part of me like Erica, just go get the old car fixes. In 1998, it's 250,000 miles on it. And then the other part of me is like, well, you do deserve, you know, you work hard and you do deserve, but I'm like, well, I don't want, you know, so it's like, but I want to be free, you know, and I feel like sometimes when we take the commitment, we know we have to get around, I know I have to get around. My thing is that this is day number 3, I'm going to rest, and if it's meant for me to have another car, you're going to christen it to me. I'm not going to.
So you just freed me again in a whole another level because it's like conversation and I just saying like so I'm so behind on my partner, you know, and my tags and everything are good. I think until the end of this month, and I have really been in this space that I got to be totally because I was like the knee started hurting all of a sudden and this morning I woke up with a whole stiffness in my arm and the pain was just so excruciating. It's like I forced myself to play just then, just because of the pain, but the stress. Okay, I don't have the house anymore. I don't have all these things anymore. And the only thing I had left was this here car. And to be in the space of being worried, it's like I've been working just free. Yes, just free. And so your reminder, and you were saying that, what I want to say to you is that we can decide what.
And it's funny you say that because this is like, so Friday, I knew that September 1st was significant. It's full after full moon, but my spirit was like, okay. So let me tell you what I did. I took the car to my mechanic the mechanic that I knew was reliable. And before I walked out there, I said, I want you all to be very honest and transparent with me and let me know about the car. And I get that. I got that. He said we were only do. I wanted an oil change and an alignment. I said, do the oil change, do the alignment. They couldn't even do the alignment because of the other work that needed to be done. They said we have to do the tie rods, which is going to affect the suspension. If we can't even do the alignment, which brings you back to the root, to the body, to the core suspensions. You can't run a car without the suspensions, right? He said before we can even do the alignment, we have to fix the internal, which again, that's spiritual. You have to fix the internal before you can even ride. Now, keep in mind, this is what he said. He said, you can ride this car around town. If you're planning on going far, don't drive it. I wouldn't rely on you driving it. He said it, and I said, well, what is it? He said, no, this is a great car. It'll get you from point A to point B if you have to go to work, what have you, grocery store, maybe go grab a package. He said, I said, but I got to go to Maryland. He said, that's a 4 hour. You can't do that. Not in this car. He said, but it's a good car. He said, keep it. I wouldn't sell it. He said, I'll just do the minor work here and there. He said, for you to have to go back and forth, this is not the car, so you're going to have to find an alternative. So I tried 3 different places. I said, the first place was my credit union. Then I went to Navy Federal. It was Navy Federal, Capital One, and then the third one I said, God, if it's meant for me to have another car, I like Carvana's style of way they take care of their cars. So I went on Carvana's website and I applied. I did all this online. They approved me for a loan for a car. So I'm like, okay, cool. So like I said, it's day 3 now. So the thing is that yesterday I called them and I said, okay, what's like the deadline? Like how long is this offer good for? And they said, oh, it's good for the next 29 days. 2 plus, I'm doing the math in my head. 9 plus 2, 3. Okay. So I'm like, okay. So 3 today's day 3. So I'm like, okay. So it's just I'm in that moment right now as I'm sitting here. This is what's occurring to me in the present, like you said, and I know what it feels like. I'm not going to lie to you. I dealt with this very same thing. I was months behind in my car payment, the tags. She'll tell you, I was close to being homeless. I went to Atlanta on the ticket. When I got back, my car was gone. They had came and got it. And my parents was like, if you really want the car, that's a lot of money to have to pay, and it was, and I said, okay, if it's meant for me to have another car, we'll make a way. And I told them, I said, no, I'm not going to pay the car. They can keep it. So I let them keep it. But then this is a year, this happened almost a year ago. So year to today, here I am now, like, okay, like I can make a choice, to get another car. Do I want to take on that responsibility financially? I really don't. Because I really, next year this time, I see myself traveling. I see myself going to Africa. I see myself going to Costa Rica. I see myself, doing a lot of different things. And so with that being said, I think if you go outside and the car is gone, then it's releasing you for what you no longer need to serve. If the car is still there, it's giving you grace to continue to move forward until you make a decision on what you're going to do. That's the only way you can see it, because none of this stuff is ours in the first place. You're just borrowing it, you know.
Yeah.
So
I received that. And it's like, even when we started talking about travel, I'm sitting here going, the money that I'm putting into the car, how does that affect my ability to be able to and travel, And it's like, and when I know that my home doesn't look like this stationary. In fact, my nature has never really been to just be stationary. I only started being in one space because my son said to me, Mama, we move every 6 months. I don't have any friends. When he was
it's funny you say that.
he said, Mama, remember we used to move?
Wow.
But I was moving like from city to city, someplace.
Yeah.
Then I worked in the theater, so it's like, I'm like, oh, this show, I can go down here. I say, yeah, I go someplace to do a show.
And I have a cancer baby too. So
That cancer boy, tough, letting me know.
I was trying to get him to come here. I was like, Mom's gonna do like some things, and he was like, no, you take your time to, he was like,
Yeah, so we're shared to one another today. I'm more accepting of the space I am about to be on my journey. And what that looks like is me allowing myself and not grabbing back and holding on to situations. It's like right now it's time to prepare my daughter to be able to stand on her own, but she's so hungry, so that she can start seeing herself as being her.
wow, that's what I'm doing with my oldest right now. It's being so much of the same. Like, it's so funny because that's what I'm doing. I have a soon to be 22-year-old, and he's the one that I did move around with, and he is the one that said, Ma, I remember we was here, we was there, we didn't have this, I remember one minute we was from in Southeast, next minute we was in Bowie, next minute we was in Anne Arundel County, and he's like, I never really was able to make like real good friends. Mm-hmm. But I told him, I said, have you ever went with them? Have you ever was in an uncomfortable space or place where you could not evolve and grow in the way that you needed to? Were you ever not, like you said, taking care of a roof over your head? And he was like, no. And I said, your children, you don't come with instructions, and no, there's no right or wrong, And we are the parents that feel like, if we want it better for you. So I can be a woman enough to say, if there's any hurt or frustration around this, I do apologize. And how can we move forward past this to work? But I need you to be independent, because the reality is that Mom is not going to be here for the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have to be independent.
Do you have anything you wanted to share? It's like I feel like I've been over to this side, but I'm feeling her energy.
I think I told y'all last time. I did when you were talking about things growing in the dark. I thought of a poem that I really love. I didn't write it. It's by Gwendolyn Brooks.
Oh, I heard that.
I would say I would love to literally just look it up and read it.
Okay, nice. That would be awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's amazing to be in this space.
From the moment I walk in, the energy, everything just feels very still. And then I don't realize how jumbled and loud everything is outside. You know what I mean?
Right.
Coming here, I'm like, whoa.
Right. It's like a wave.
Yeah.
As soon as Erica said she's coming to visit, I said, let me go online and see if they
Yeah.
have something.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
like
I'm there.
we come in and we prepare this to receive, like the thing right before we walk over here is I'm doing the sound bath that help bring the energy in, and then last roll we all did the sound bath together on the exit. And I liked that, but I was like, yeah,
That was
a good
nice.
practice. That's a good practice to do that. So that we can take, we could set our attention and take energies with us. It's out there, it's like they are. Anybody was like me, I used to be like the worst driver. Road rage. I own it. But I've been able to release it because I was able to own it. It was like, you have both. Now that you know that you have both, but you need to. But before people be like, oh, I'm like, it's not my fault because did you see what they did? Right. Now it was like, whatever they're doing, you don't have to scream, yell, and lay on the horn. You don't have to do that. How you choose to respond. Now it's like, sometimes, oh, my bad.
And you have to catch yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know we all do.
You found the pause.
Like I said, is by Gwendolyn Brooks. It's called To Prisoners. I call for you, cultivation of strength in the dark. Dark gardening in the vertigo cold, in the hot paralysis, under the wolves and coyotes of particular silences, where it is dry, where it is dry. I call for you, cultivation of victory over long blows that you want to give and blows we're going to get over what wants to crumble you down, to sicken you. I call for you, cultivation of strength to heal and advance in the non-cheering dark, in the many mornings after, in the chalk and choke.
Thank you. Yeah. Beautiful.
Thank you.
But something about the idea of dark gardening is that particular line that stood out to me a lot. Just because when we think about like growth, we always associate it with light. And how you're gonna literally grow like a whole garden in the dark. But something about that poem that made me realize it's possible to do that in the dark. So,
There are a few plants that thrive with
Yeah.
I want to say mushrooms.
Mm-hmm.
We recently love mushrooms even more so. Microdosing. And sometimes full dosing. There's something good about the dog.
Yeah.
Yes. 24-hour experience from those that took. And I literally, I officiate football. I went to the football game to officiate in the slate. And the guy was like, we had to replace you, whatever. And he was like, I didn't feel anything. I got a slight, and I was like, I probably shouldn't be on this field. Anyway, because I am driving and I am practicing being present. There's a white car in front of me, and there's another car to the right, and there's another car, and these tags say this, and I am driving this speed limit. I was in the practice of being present and had to speak to myself throughout the whole journey. And then when I got back to the space, I was able to sit down, and then I saw all these floods of visions and a whole bunch of other uploads and things started coming. And I'm going because I am choosing to be present, because I am choosing to activate these gifts for the greater good, and to do it in appropriation of what it is for. And as I see faces and things are starting to come to me, things are starting to connect and make sense. And I'm starting to get, like even Soulful Sundays, it's about us being able to come in and connect with people of like minds to share a discussion what it is our game plan is for the rest of the show. How we can show up for the rest of the show. What are we going to go forward and create, when we leave it, and what does that look like when we come back together?
Right.
What are we able to share and build, iron sharpening iron and giving messages one to another so that we continue to do what we need to do on this journey. None of this is coincidental.
Yeah.
None of this is coincidental. We all possess something that we need to be sharing out. And it's just being in a safe place, a good feeling space
Yes.
to do so.
Absolutely.
To do
You've definitely created that space. It's a blessing.
Well, my person like to say it's an honor and pleasure to pour into the space
Yes.
that has been and is given so much.
Yeah.
Because the temple has been here, they started this in 2020, open. And so they've been holding space for this, already. So giving some honor for us, all of us. As we come in here, we're pouring into the portal. My person sees it as a 5D portal.
Right.
For whatever journey path they were on in the world, this is a 5D portal, a safe house, asylum, embassy, for us to come here and get recharged, rejuvenated, whether it be once or whether it be on a continuous basis, so we go back to the world, we take that heaven earth with us, the 5D vibration back to the 3D. And that to the Mother Earth, it's an honor to serve her as she serves. They haven't both given back to them. Yes. Few comments here. Precious Mother Love says her car was stolen in 2020, and I was relieved from the weight of commitment and overhead,
Yes.
and enjoyed the perks of a year of driving other people's cars as my self-love elevated and attracted solutions. And I think I called a time out and recharged my intentions before getting my dream ride with the easy approval and all the best in the deal.
That's what's going on with me.
I say,
I say.
From Brother Don. Brother, I commend you. Your patience, humility, and empathy is underrated. At all.
That was a male piece.
And that kind of get to the conversation earlier about my chair. It's journey, where before it wasn't there because the master was, it was about, hey, that drive thing. So even though typically as it goes, it's projecting because the drive that one person has from the outside is not the same drive that it has for itself.
Yeah.
And so once it shifted again to have not so much a drive, but just an understanding, then that whole patience came and compassion because it began to be with self first. Then from self, then it can, be passed on like love. And how can you love someone else if you don't love yourself? So how do you have compassion and patience with other people if you don't have it for yourself? So by understanding the feminine and masculine getting to work together, help to cultivate that. So much so, this for you, Brother Don. What has happened is more aware of my personal story and embracing the wholeness of his beings, implying that no biological children, never was officially married to the court system. Common law, shacked up, kept raising children, things like that along this journey, but nothing official. And parents or biological families, Alabama, Chicago. So there's no one really here. So it's really just my person on this journey. And because of his merit in his heart and his mind, what now my person is sowing into this wholeness, this completion, so that it is able to interact with humanity in an intimate way, because it is assisting with bringing balance, whether it be being more masculine, being more feminine at any given moment or any given day, to be there to support, to have that, ultimately to on this journey, And as a result, I've had plenty of relationships, even we were in a relationship. So now to be in no relationship, especially the romantic kind, my person is free enough to love itself that same way. As it loves itself that same way, again, this is transferred in different levels of intimacy with men and with women. It's not sexual, it's sensual because we're sensing the essence of the other being. Their plight, the stars, especially in a place like this, it's either just open up and just be connected, and just be present right now in this moment, which in and of itself, my person is finding to be very orgasmic. And so if this moment is orgasmic, everything else is just on the cake benefit,
Right.
If you choose to do it that way, but if not, we good because life comes back. A very orgasmic ecstasy, nirvana, the deep meditation place, but to have that same feeling when actually engaged. What you do in your room, you meditate, you feel this oneness, you feel so good and connected, powerful, confident, in the privacy to bring what's in the private into the public. As a result of again working with one's own heart, one's own mind, personally. So this is the end result. What we got to. It's been a long journey. We started out dysfunctional. A few years ago, wait a minute. We thought it was doing good, but this is what it is. And now this is what it is. To really embrace your masculine and your feminine, so that you feel that love of the best relationship ever. By yourself, ain't nobody around. You just feel tears of joy and shit like that. So again, the goal is to bring that out for the be free. Sovereign being.
I have a quick question. So, do you put a name to your feminine side and then a name to your masculine side? Or you just say, this is my feminine side and then this is just my masculine? Only because I was listening to it was I've sent it to you, but he was saying like meditating or sitting with yourself, and what does your masculine look like? Would it be like a Thor or what have you, or like a Mahatma Gandhi? Like, does your masculine, do you want to tap into that type of masculinity? Or do you want to say, okay, I'm a Oprah, or I'm a, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
he named another female. It's like, are you a Cleopatra? When you think about that fine feminine. So he was saying, how do you identify your masculine side and your divine side? Like, if you had to put a name to those two. And so he was talking about how you can meditate to see. And he said, whatever name comes to you first, he said, even if it's some weird cocky name, SpongeBob, but but I was wondering, like, how can you, okay, so, because you did say, some people say, oh, I'm working in my divine feminine, but he's like, not only are you working in your divine feminine, what does that divine feminine look like? So that's what I was going to ask you, is there, like, would you put a name to it, or like identify?
So,
and they can change at any time.
Yes,
sure.
That's beautiful. They do change. That's an excellent question, because now the person can be even more intentional about it, because we just kind of throwing it, we didn't do that, but now we need more. So what happens is this: generally, it's him and her, the heart and the mind. Even though we know the mind, my person has a system, a modality called the breath of life training, BOLT or BOLT, breath of life training, meditation initiation system. And in this system, it identifies its heart and its mind, using its inner systems. For example, the root, the sacral, and the throat chakra is this emotional body, i.e. the mind. This solar plexus, the heart, and the first eye, a person associated with the mental body, the heart. And so within those chakras, the mind, the emotional body has two that vibrate, feminine, one that vibrates masculine. The heart has two masculine vibrators and feminine vibrators. So the yin and the yang. The mind, we say it's feminine, but there's a masculine. Same thing. So what happens is, and these also based upon the deity of the committed tree of life in the system. And so my person holds space for her to manifest either Aset, Heteru, Ma'at, you know, divine master, either Herakahuti, Haru, or Tahuti.
Okay.
You know? And so we just hold, and within that portal, the portal of Tahuti, there are different beings that walk the earth that manifest that. So depending upon which one manifested it, there's no need for my person to call them a specific name. It goes to the portal. And everyone who comes to that portal, alive, you know, has yet to come, has been already here, we're tapping to that portal. That had a root portal. You know, especially if we see some divine feminine, you know, that has had a root, you know, we're tapping into that heteroid energy. Oh, that's that sacred chakra. So we're nourishing our energy centers as we identify the beings that come to the portal on the outside. So much so that if we're present and relaxed enough, it may not be intentional yet, but we train the subconscious so that if we relax, we say, we speak and or do a manner that's more masculine or more feminine based upon that portal, based upon what's needed right now. It's saying this deity is here to assist and bring it balance.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Like, you know, like some people say, oh, I have a guardian angel, you know, I'm
Right.
an archangel. But what just came to my mind when I see the divine feminine sitting here and with the 8 limbs,
Right,
you
right.
know, and all those limbs, you know, represent, you know, great things. I can't remember all the 8 limbs, but yes, you know, because we as females, you know, almost like the octopus, we're doing 7, 12 things at one time,
Yeah.
still able to like, you know, still stay on track. Like you said, it's a circle. You know, it's not necessarily a block. You know, we move in circles, we flow, our energy flow. And a lot of times people say, oh, you remind me of Goddess Shemaya, you know, like your water grill. So, yeah, so, you know, so, yeah, I'm glad you, yeah.
Feminine is very nice.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Masculine being the square. You know, when you look at the sacred geometry of it all. When you asked that question, conversation Master Shep and I had this last week, I was like, well, you kind of know where your stuff is. You kind of got everything together. You know, I'm trying to figure it out. And then after I had the conversation, I had some time to go sit in the inbook because it's like Master Shep. You know, this is the name that he came to present because he's constantly mastering himself. It's like you are precious. You are precious. You know, you are precious.
And now it's time for you to master yourself.
So instead of me looking for a title or whatever, know that I'm precious. Like, do you understand when your mother gave you that name? She spoke into your spirit who you would have to be in order to manifest and flow at the greatest of yourself.
That's right.
Which is precious. And that remembering there was I have a brother that's like really spiritually talented and everything. And he had gone over to some mother's house maybe when she was still on the side. And he took me outside and he was like, Spirit wanted me to show you something. And so I had purchased a trash can and painted my name on the trash can so that the neighbors wouldn't steal my trash can. It got precious, you know, spray painted all big on the trash can. And he took me outside and showed me that trash can. And he said, God said, you are not trash. You are not trash. And my name is spray painted all on that trash can. So he is like rubbing it off. Yeah, this is sick. And he's rubbing my name off the trash can. And he's like, you're not trash. And he kept rubbing the name. It was like at the time I was going through a whole bunch. And I was feeling like nothing. Like I just started, like nobody cared for me. I had 2 children at this time. I was becoming more and more sick with cancer. It was a whole bunch going on. And usually, you know, Sydney would have like a good message from God and give you some money and all of this stuff. Right. And so I'm sitting here like, he pulled me outside
Right.
to show him this trash can that I paid for. And then he's scrubbing, and I don't even know how, because it shouldn't even been possible. Because it wasn't like he was doing a bunch of work. And you have to spray painted your name on plastic. It's not going to be rubbing. Right, but it was just coming off, and he was like, "Oh, you are not trash. You are not trash."
Because he sent me.
Absolutely. But it came back,
Right.
you know, right after our conversation when I said that, that's like, I'm precious. Be precious. Show up and be precious, because that's who I am. You know, and if I'm showing up, just be precious. If I'm not trying to put on airs, I'm not trying to come off real spiritual, then I just be. I am.
And Punaya, you get the best of both worlds, the matriarch and the patriarch, because the father's side, Punaya, which is,
I am love.
and
Panaya is I am love. My name
Bring
is
me
not under Ayamade. It's bring me love. So precious Punaya Ayamade. That
That's
would be
beautiful.
my whole name. Precious.
Oh, you have an
I am precious
amazing name.
love. Bring me love. I am love.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful.
ta-da!
I used to want to always pick her name because my mom named me after both my grandmas. And one of my grandmas violated me when I was a little girl. So I always said I wanted to change my name. And then when I was going through this whole transition and, you know, and dealing with the trauma and healing from the trauma, she named me perfectly because my first name means pearl and the second one means God's gift. So you don't get a better name. So I decided, you know what? That was her demons to deal with, but my mom named me perfectly. So now I embrace that name. Yeah.
I'll say. You got it. Fresh Mother Love did chime in again. She says, we are 50% mycelium, and so is Mother Earth. Mushrooms were here before humans, and the 100,000 named shrooms have untapped healing properties. You may say they came from outer space, or they live in space, so they can be any kind. Give thanks for that. And Brother Don chimed back in. This is excellent. My masculine side protects the feminine. My feminine side, I allow to express through my jewelry making and interaction with children, and while being immersed in nature. Yeah, that's right. There's a new day. The divine masculine is waking up.
Beautiful. Awesome. Awesome. So thank you all who went on the journey with us through the Bible. We're going to move into the 5 agreements. Next draw.
Okay. Okay.
And so I'm looking forward to just have a discussion. And please, you know, you can join us here in person or continue to meet with us online if that's what works for you. But do engage and do share your conversation, because as your story helped me, you know, my story I'm sure helps someone else. And so when we engage in these conversations, we give an opportunity to help each other. You know, like they say, it's a, you know, testimony. You know,
Yeah.
we overcome by the testimonies of others, because you get that sense of community that someone else has gone through this process, and if they made it, you know, I can make it too, or at least they can lend an ear of understanding when I share, so that if I'm in a space, I'm hurt, you can hold space, because you know what is required. Because sometimes it might not be, I need you to give me an answer.
That's right.
Sometimes all I need to do is be able to speak
That's right.
what it is. And then you hold space, the spirit will reveal to me what that answer, what those actions, what those things need to be. Like, it's not always for us to solve it, but it's always for us to encourage you to go in and tap into spirit and get what you need.
Person Mother Love just comment again. There's your DNA is connected to all of your family and never separated. Time and space apply to this paradigm. The spirit has no gender or time in the macro, but the concepts are needed for relative measure. All right. Yeah, thanks for sharing. And there's another comment also about my person resonates with that as well, as far as shadow work or growth in the darkness. And this reminded of the law of polarity, the yin yang symbol, the light and the dark. And what helps my person is a few things. One is the angel of death. There's an angel of death. Ogun, Erica Hootie, is that deity that's responsible for transformation. That's that Scorpion energy, Scorpio, death and transformation. Got the death with transformation. Just a little bit more lighter. Oh, transformation. But usually transformation will cause something to die, to be reborn, transform itself now. So that energy, this whole darkness, the villain,
Yes.
you know, it's
And we don't, we resonate with the snake, but the reality is it's the
The
kundalini.
Kundalini,
Right.
that's right.
You gotta shed that skin.
Right.
And
Yeah.
while you shed the skin, you gotta, we've been taught that, oh, the snakes are bad.
Mhm.
And I'm embracing that slowly. I don't want to sit with the snake per se, but I'm embracing the fact that everybody has this space in the universe. And so with the Kundalini energy, I resonate with the snake because of it.
Check, say that.
Yes.
Yeah, right on. Yes. Mm-hmm. As we prepare now, transition to the integration time. Just a little bit more about something on the earth again. We give thanks for holding space, for the time that it has. And if you would like more info on what goes on throughout the strong or different events, templemotherEarth.org. There's also a QR code that you can become a member of the program. Just for example, on Sundays we have the Soulful Sunday discussion. On Mondays, moon days, we have integration that has transformed more into a potluck now. Before it was men and women having integration circles, we come together, meet,
We will be
men
back
go
in integration circle started this month.
Right.
So we may be bringing food, we
Okay.
still will be doing our integration.
So people just bring what they want.
Yeah, you bring
plan it.
something.
Okay.
And the purpose of that is like, so while we're here integrating, somebody might be hungry,
Yeah.
so that there's something to nourish your physical. Especially if you come in to share and want to process and work through something, that
That takes a lot of
emotional intake. Right. So the purpose of the bringing the food is so that we can have that sustenance while we're in integration. It is kind of veered off and people just started with more social, but we're bringing it back into.
I can't wait to be very. Sometimes I go, have you ever heard of Come? So,
Come.
mhm. So this is typically when you go, it's Hindu, but also to a in practice to open the third eye. But one thing, the reason why that they put that mark there, the female wears the mark and not the male. Okay. But the reason being is that mark is there for several reasons. For one, initially it identifies the female, right? But also two, it also identifies her divine feminine. But also two, if you ever see someone with a white mark across, that means that they're masculine, which was their husband, passed away, and then they'll place another over the piece. But I usually at the beginning of every month I usually anoint myself to make sure that third eye is open. So, but also too, another thing that I learned, it's better to give than to receive. So a lot of times when we give offering doesn't necessarily have to always, we've been associated with the church that you give offering. But offering can be, like I said, that's pretty much what you're doing on Mondays. You're still integrating, but you're also giving.
Right.
And bearing gifts.
Right on. It's, we're gonna be integrating more of that on Sundays as well. But Spirit said we should have some snacks up here on Sundays.
Okay.
Next Sunday when you come, more than likely be some snacks, something, fruit, donuts, biscuits. No. Yeah.
I think it just makes good.
Yeah.
When we have an opportunity to share it. It just adds to the energy of the life, of the reestablishing. This is what we constitute. Wow.
Fed on all levels.
Inclusive.
Yes.
So that everyone can be a part.
Yes.
Not pushing anyone. If we push everyone forward, we constantly go.
That's right.
If we
That's
pull
right.
everyone back, we have
We
to go
gotta
back.
go
and
back.
forward.
That's right.
If you always
That's
push them forward, you're always.
That's right.
So we like to say, since we have been here communing already in all dimensions, we take this time to integrate the information that was received from all dimensions. It's physical dimension, the lows, from the up lows, from our people and our other people, and the point is already here. So we just give thanks for this opportunity to come together as one, anyone, to be as one. This integration is for us to take us through the strong so that we become the word that we receive. This is to say, right on, amen and ache. Precious love, where the soul becomes relatable for the experience in relation to the spirit. Those who are coming before, it's in the chat, type it all in. And close up the sound collage, drop there, Dr. Tuesday. Feel free to join the sound as we make a joyful noise.
Thank you all online. Thank you those of you are here with us in person. We're going to transition over to the sound bowls after we check out online. But we just want to thank you all for joining us. Be strong. Now we look forward to seeing you next time. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe,
Your next round.
I'm certain what I did. And if your friends stay with you, just like get comfortable. It's like I'm not going anywhere. What type of bug is that? What message is this bringing?
It's a small